Well, good evening, everybody. I hope that you are having a fantastic Monday, a brand new work week. I hope your week started off great. Over the weekend, we had some more wet weather. And how about those Aurora Borealis sightings on Friday? We had a rare situation that brought that on with the magnitude 5 geomagnetic storm. And some research suggests that that may be the most significant geomagnetic storm, perhaps maybe aurora sighting since the 1800s, maybe ever on record. So very rare to see that in this part of the country. Unfortunately, Saturday and Sunday, if you missed it, it was too cloudy here, and it doesn't appear as though the magnetic storm was as strong because there weren't even reports of auroras even across a good part of the country on Saturday or Sunday, even in places that were clear. On Friday, though, it was seen all the way down into Florida. Wow, how about that? I missed it. And it is on my bucket list. But I think that, whenever I do finally see it, I want to go to Iceland instead. Because that was amazing what I've seen pictures coming out of Iceland and Norway and France. And man, some of the most amazing Aurora Borealis pictures I've ever seen in my life. So over the weekend, we got wet again, more rain. And I know that we need rain, and you can never complain about it because there will be a time, probably in the near future, where everything will just shut off and we won't see any more rain at all for a while and just be hot and dry every day. But if your yard is like my yard, it is a mess. I've tried cutting it even though that it's wet outside, and it's just making big ruts in my yard. I've got it cut, but it needs to dry up a little bit. The dogs constantly bring mud in and out of the house. You can't give them a bath because you give them a bath, they go out and get right back in the mud again, so it doesn't do you any good. So needless to say, dirt coming in and out, and until we get this rain to stop, it's going to kind of be that way. Very wet yesterday, and if we take a look here, we're actually doing really good on rainfall. If you look for the whole entire spring, we're well above average by about 6.5 to 7 inches. Well, about 6.5 inches. This is official numbers at Sheppard Air Force Base, where the records are kept here in Wichita Falls. For the year, we're up over 16.5 inches, and we'll probably be above 17 before it's all said and done this week. That puts us 8.5 inches above average. But the big question is, how are we doing in terms of drought? Well, I think that we're out of the drought, but we still have a deficit from the time period 2021 till now. Now, when we started the year, that deficit was about 17 inches below average. It wasn't looking good. But the rain, we were actually above average, I think, every month on rainfall this year, which is awesome. El Nino has brought that, by the way. So the total from 2021 till now is 82.78. That's still about 8.25 below average. But again, we're making we're chipping away at that some. We really need to, if we're going to get that down to zero, we're going to have to see that 8.5 inches between now and the middle of June, because this is the wettest time of the year now. I don't know that we'll do that. I would be surprised. I mean, it's not totally out of the question, but I'd be surprised if we got it all the way down to zero. But still, we're a lot better than we were, and the lakes are coming up. I think the combined lake levels now, Arrowhead and Kickapoo, are around 70%, which is also a bit of an improvement. The soils are saturated, and we need a good heavy rain to come in to really help pull those lakes, or push those lakes up. We got some more good rains on the way, though. So we see the break between now and Tuesday, and I think that at least through most of the day Wednesday we're dry too. There might be some thunderstorms trying to develop there on Wednesday afternoon, but I think the bulk of the activity is going to come in Thursday night, and once again there could be some heavy rain with this behind yet another front. Another pretty strong front, and that's going to help drop our temperature some for the end of the week. That moves on out of the way, and small chance for a shower or two on Friday, but as we get into the weekend, we dry out. And while the weather pattern remains active, and there could be some more rain chances into next week, it doesn't look quite as favorable for a lot of heavy rain. And I know there's been a lot of severe weather across the country, but we've been lucky here in Texoma. We only had a couple of bouts of severe weather here this year, which is usually what we see. I'd say this is a very average severe weather season for us. As far as rainfall, though, it's well above average, well above average. I do want to show you this, and this is the reason why it's been so wet, is this the El Nino weather pattern. So there's been a bit of an update. This is from a couple weeks ago, but there's been a bit of an update, and the CPC, which is the Climate Prediction Center, says that we probably don't see the La Nina transition as quickly. It looks like El Nino is trying to hold on. There's been actually a little bit of a bump up in temperatures there in the Pacific Ocean off the South American coast there. So we're still in El Nino now. That's why it's so wet, and it looks like we're going to stay there into the early parts of June. But the CPC says probably somewhere over in here we transition to La Nina. So probably kind of see off and on at least wetter weather into the early parts of the summer. That's a little bit of a change from what it was looking like earlier. Then we transition to La Nina. Kind of a weak La Nina though is what we're expecting right now. La Nina usually in our part of the world brings hot, dry weather or warm, dry weather into the fall and winter. It actually can also be associated with some really cold spells here too. The biggest impact to La Nina, though, will be it weakens the winds across the trade winds across the Atlantic, and that can lead to a lot of hurricane activity. So we do expect a pretty active hurricane season this year in the Atlantic and the Gulf of Mexico. Too early to say, and there's no way to predict if that would impact the U.S. or not. Most likely it will at some point. So that'll be something we'll be kind of transitioning to over the next couple of weeks. Of course, we don't usually have any impacts from the tropics here in our part of the world, but other parts of the world do here, so we'll keep an eye on that. But in the meantime, more rain is on the way. It could pick up a couple more inches. And like I was saying earlier, I just really want a good break. My wife and I both, please just give us a little break. One thing about this rain, if you look at the way the weather pattern has been, we were so hot and dry for a long time there. And this winter, we really only had about a week of cold weather, about a week, and that was it. So if you look at that, then all this wet weather on top of that, folks, the recipe is ideal for a lot of insects now and into the early parts of the summer. I mean, mosquitoes, fleas, ticks, you name it. There's going to be a lot of insects out there. So if you're out and about, make sure you wear that DEET off, whatever it is you need to wear, keep the bugs off of you. I know I tried to go out and see the auroras on a Friday evening, and then I just got tore up by those mosquitoes. Tore up, man. It was awful. So you're going to need that. Plus the humidity levels whenever it quits raining and we start to see the sun come out, it's going to be hot. We'll probably see some really humid conditions too early in middle parts of the summer. But you know how it is around here. It's this way. And then we get past 4th of July and into August. It's just hot and dry every day, right? So that's all I got. And I know, Darcy, it's hard to mow. I need to mow right now, too. I need to mow. I've mowed a lot of my place, but again, I'm having to roll over standing water and mud, so I'm rutting up my part of my yard. Well, it's the back part of my. I have an acre and a half, 2 acres. So, but there's the fenced-in area where our dogs run. It's getting thick and it needs to be cut. Try to do it tomorrow, maybe. We'll see. But yeah, mosquitoes are bad. So Darcy, I feel your pain because I've got more dogs than 3, and they're retrievers, they're golden retrievers, and they love the mud and the water. I got one that's a puppy, and she loves to get muddy. Every time she goes out, she comes in with muddy paws, and it doesn't do any good to clean the floors because all they're going to do is just bring that mud back inside. Don't do any good to give them a bath because they're just going to go outside and get muddy again. So what do? So well, whoever Jay is on YouTube, I appreciate that, but I'm not real good with Spanish. Something about hurricanes in the Pacific. Baja, hurricane zone, something like that. I don't know. I can't. I'm not good. I took 4 semesters of Spanish in college, and I can't speak a lick of it hardly. So, all right, everybody. I'm going to go home and eat a bite. I got a roast in a crock pot. I actually put the roast on my smoker earlier today, my little electric smoker, which is basically a glorified oven with a little wood chip. So So I'm going to go home. I put that. I smoked it, then I put it on my. I put it in my crock pot to cook to make it tender. So I think it's going to be pretty good. So I'm going to go home and eat that and just chill for a little while. We're watching a series on Amazon Prime called The Boys, and that's pretty good. We enjoy that, so we're watching that right now. So we'll probably watch that. So. All right, y'all. Have a great evening, and we will see you